Good morning. Today we are working on PO55. We are continuing working with those angles and measurements. Today we are solving for an unknown angle in a triangle or a quadrilateral. So we need to remind ourselves about triangles and quadrilaterals, see what we know. In every triangle, no matter how big the triangle is, no matter the shape that that triangle looks like, every angle, so triangles always have three angles, it's a triangle, tri means three, so there are three angles, they will always add up to be 180 degrees, no matter what. No matter how big that triangle is, no matter how little one angle is and how big the other angle is, no matter what, we will add up all three of those angles and it will equal 180 degrees. Now, every quadrilateral, quad means four, lateral means sides. So every shape that has four sides, every time we will add up all four of those angles, it will add up to be 360 degrees. You will notice that 180 to 360, we multiply the 180 by 2. So if we look at a quadrilateral, a shape with four sides, we draw a line through it, you will see we have two triangles. So no matter what, any shape we have, it could be a rectangle, whoops, don't want to divide the rectangle up that way. It could be a rectangle and we can always divide it to be two triangles. It could be a diamond. We can divide that up to be two triangles. We could have a quadrilateral that looks like this. We can always divide it up to be two triangles. So no matter what, every quadrilateral will be 360 degrees when you add all four angles up. So important to remember, triangle equals 180 degrees. Quadrilateral equals 360 degrees, no matter what. So we know the total of the triangle and the quadrilateral for their angles. So how are we going to use this? Why is this important? Because if you know how many degrees are supposed to be in a shape, you can easily set up an equation to solve for an unknown angle. Let's take a look at 2 below. We're going to write an equation to solve for the missing angle. So we don't know this angle of our triangle. We could say 180, that is our total. We can subtract out the 70-degree angle and subtract out our 60-degree angle, and we know we are going to be left with the question mark. Which one is missing? Which, if we do 180 minus 70 minus 60, we get 50. So we could say, flipping that around, we could call that question mark x. And we could say x plus 70 plus 60 is going to equal 180. Because we know all three angles will always equal 180 degrees. So if I put 50 in there, 50 plus 70 plus 60, 50 plus 70 is 120. 120 plus 60 is our 180. Same thing goes for our quadrilateral. Here is our missing angle. We know quadrilaterals are always 360 degrees, so we're going to subtract away the angles that we know. So 360 minus 120 minus 75 minus 85 is going to equal that question mark angle. And if we do the math with our calculator and we subtract them all out, we see that it is 80 degrees. So again, we could call that question mark our x. We know that x plus 120 plus 75 plus 85 is going to equal that magic number of 360 degrees. So to find that missing area of a triangle, we're subtracting away from 180. To find the missing angle for the quadrilateral, we subtract away from 360. So how are we going to use this information to do our math for today? I'm going to scroll up. We know triangles are 180, quadrilaterals are 360. Magic numbers we need to remember. So my first triangle, I have 40 degrees and a 35 degrees, and I am looking for that angle. I would take 180 minus the 40 I know, minus the 35 I know, and I'm left with my question mark. We look at the triangle below that, and I see one angle that is 73 degrees. I see nothing over here, but over here I see my little box. Now remember, that little box tells us something very important. That box tells us that it is a right angle. Now this objective, sometimes we have to do some thinking about what we remember about angle measurements. That right angle, if you don't remember what it is, look back at previous objectives. You will see a right angle is 90 degrees. Now I know two of my angles. I can subtract it away from that 180 degrees and get my question mark. For my quadrilaterals, I do the same thing using 360 degrees, subtracting away from that 360 to be left with our question mark. Let's take a quick peek at our second page of our homework. And we're going to see some more things that we need to go back and think about what we know from other things. So I look at my first triangle and I see there's one hash mark, one hash mark, one hash mark. Remember, those hash marks are telling you that those sides are all equal. And if each side is equal, what type of triangle does that make it? This is from yesterday's objective. If each side is equal, it is an equilateral triangle, which means all the sides are the same. And if it's an equilateral triangle, it's an equiangular triangle. All of these measurements have to be the same, and it has to equal 180 degrees. So look back at yesterday's objective if you don't remember what that degree has to be. We look at this quadrilateral, we know that this has one arch and this has one arch. That means they are congruent. Remembering that congruent means the same measurement. So we know our quadrilateral is 360 degrees. We have 100 and 100, so I'm going to subtract that 200 away from that, and I'm left with 160 degrees, and that needs to be split up equally between those two angles. So we've got angle 1, angle 2. We need to divide 160 equally between the two angles. Down below, we see some supplementary angles. So we have our straight line, which we know is 180 degrees. We see an angle that's 140. What does this angle measurement have to be right here? If its supplementary angle is 140 degrees, that will tell us our second angle measurement. So then we can find our third angle. Same thing over here. We have supplementary angles. Use what you know about that to find those missing angles. Fill in your missing angles so you can find your unknown angle. And then down below, we have some review. So look back at your previous objectives if you don't remember. Yeah, you should be able to find those answers on the previous messages, or previous objectives, sorry about that. If you have questions, you can ask a friend, you can ask your teacher. I will be back tomorrow, and I will also be able to answer questions. I hope you are well. I hope to see you soon. Have a wonderful day.